Welcome to the deep dive.
Mm.
Today, we're going to explore something.
Okay.
It's really personal and often,
Yeah.
kept behind closed doors, really.
Mm-hmm.
The emotional journey of becoming
Yeah.
a caregiver for your partner,
Right.
for your romantic partner. So many people face this,
Absolutely.
and understanding its complexities
Yeah.
can really help you navigate similar situations,
Yeah.
whether
Oh,
personally or in supporting others.
for sure.
So we're diving deep today into two sources.
Yes. The first is a really raw and honest first-person account
Okay.
from a woman who found herself in this exact situation.
Mm-hmm.
And the second is an essay exploring the psychological and
Clear.
societal factors that come into play when a partner becomes the caregiver.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's our mission today?
Well, our mission is to understand the multifaceted emotional weight of this shift
Right.
and how it can challenge our perceptions of love, partnership,
Mm-hmm.
even our sense of self.
Yeah. I like that. The woman in our first source shares a striking reflection.
Yes.
Uh, she says that switching from being cared for to being the caregiver
Mm-hmm.
is incredibly difficult,
Yes.
especially when you've relied on your partner for guidance or protection.
It's true. Her honesty is striking.
Yeah.
It really is, because it challenges that romanticized view
Right.
of caregiving.
It does. And it makes me think about how this transition really impacts those unspoken
Oh, yeah.
expectations we often bring into relationships.
Yeah.
Like what are...
That's a great question.
Yeah.
It's really deeply intertwined with
Right.
societal norms.
Oh, for sure.
For a long time, the dominant narrative has been that
Yeah.
men are the protectors and providers in
Right.
relationships. Even if we don't consciously buy into those roles,
Right.
they can still significantly impact how we
Right.
see ourselves and our partners.
I agree.
So when these roles suddenly reverse, it can be
Right.
deeply unsettling.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And the second source, the essay, uses the phrase poignant paradox to describe this experience of caring for someone
Yes.
who was once, your protector.
Totally.
And I think that's such a powerful way to put it. What's fascinating is
Yeah.
how the essay sort of explains this paradox by stating that
Yeah.
while traditional roles might suggest
Right.
men are caregivers,
Hmm.
women often end up filling that role.
Yeah.
And then the author goes on to highlight how this societal expectation
Right.
that women are natural caregivers
Right.
often overshadows
Yeah.
the emotional toll
Right.
caregiving can take. It's like,
Absolutely. And this transition can trigger deep-seated insecurities and fears,
Right.
particularly for women.
Yeah.
Think about it. We've been socialized to accept care and protection from men.
okay.
When that dynamic is flipped, it can shake our sense of safety
Wow.
and even our identity
Yeah.
within the relationship.
That's intense.
Yeah.
And the woman in our first source actually touches on this very idea.
Yes.
She reflects on how this experience forced her to confront uncomfortable questions
Mm.
about her
Mm.
own needs and desires in a relationship
Yeah.
at this stage in her life.
Mm.
She even realized that, she needed
Yeah.
more independence than she initially thought.
It's incredible how caregiving can become
Yeah.
a catalyst for self-discovery, even if it comes in a challenging package.
Right.
It compels us to ask ourselves,
Yeah.
who am I in this relationship?
Right.
What do I truly want and need?
It's a big question.
Yeah, it is.
This reminds me of a friend who found herself caring for her partner after an accident.
Okay.
While it was a difficult adjustment, she later confided in me that it
Yeah.
gave her a new perspective
Right.
on her own strength and resilience.
Mm-hmm.
And, she hadn't realized how capable she was
Oh, wow.
until she was pushed into this new role.
And that's precisely the point the essayist makes as well.
Okay.
She discovered a strength and capability she never knew she had,
Mhm.
despite the difficulties of caregiving.
Yeah.
And, this experience, she realized, allowed her to shed those outdated expectations we discussed
Right.
and embrace
Yeah.
a more honest, more fulfilling way
Right.
of being in a relationship.
Yeah. So we've talked about the weight, the challenges, the emotional upheaval,
Mm-hmm.
and the unexpected self-discovery
Yes.
this transition can bring. But if we're looking at rewriting these relationship stories,
Okay.
as the essay suggests. What does that even look like in practice?
Right.
What does that look like?
Yeah. Well, that's where the idea of the fluid dance comes in.
Okay.
It's about recognizing that relationships are constantly evolving
Mhm.
and that the dance of giving and receiving can
Right.
take many forms.
I love that analogy.
Oh.
But what does this fluid dance, look like in a healthy, fulfilling relationship, especially when one partner becomes a caregiver?
Well, it might mean
Yeah.
renegotiating who cooks dinner
Right.
or who provides emotional support,
Okay.
adapting to each other's
Mhm.
evolving needs, right?
Right.
It's about letting go of those
Yeah.
rigid roles we discussed
Right.
and finding a new balance that
Yeah.
works for both partners.
So it's less about sticking to a predetermined script
Yeah.
and more about improvising together.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
that improvisation requires open communication,
Right.
honesty, and a willingness to be vulnerable with
Mhm.
each other.
Be vulnerable.
Yeah. It's about acknowledging that both partners are
Yeah.
going through a significant transition
Right.
and supporting each other through the ups and downs.
You mentioned vulnerability, and that makes me think about
Yeah.
the emotional weight we discussed earlier.
Right.
How can couples navigate those?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
That's where self-awareness
Okay.
and empathy become crucial. The caregiver needs to acknowledge their own needs and limitations, and the partner receiving care needs to understand
Yeah.
the challenges their loved one is facing.
It sounds like this transition requires
It does.
a level of honesty
Yes.
that might be uncomfortable for some couples.
It can be. But remember, those uncomfortable conversations can lead to
Yeah.
a deeper understanding and connection.
Right.
It's about creating a safe space
Okay.
where both partners feel comfortable expressing their fears, frustrations, and needs.
Earlier you mentioned that societal expectations
I did.
can add to the emotional weight of this transition.
Absolutely.
How can couples challenge those expectations?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
And create a more equitable dynamic. It starts with recognizing those expectations
Okay.
and having open conversations about how they might be impacting
Yeah.
the relationship.
Okay.
For example, if a woman is struggling with the expectation that she should be
Right.
the natural caregiver,
Right.
she needs to communicate that to her partner
Right.
and explore ways to share the responsibilities
Okay.
more equitably.
So it's about rewriting the script, not just within the relationship, but also
Yeah.
in terms of how we view caregiving roles in society.
Absolutely. Challenging those deeply ingrained societal norms is crucial for creating a more supportive and equitable environment
Yeah.
for both caregivers and those receiving care.
That brings us back to the listener's question from earlier.
Okay.
Have you ever experienced or witnessed this kind of role reversal
Yes.
in your own life? How did it feel?
Yeah.
Just curious to hear your thoughts.
I've witnessed these dynamics firsthand, actually,
How
on my
about
own family.
Okay.
Watching my grandmother become my grandfather's caregiver
Wow.
was really eye-opening.
Yeah.
It challenged traditional roles and forced them both to adapt and redefine their relationship.
Yeah.
It wasn't always easy,
Yeah.
but ultimately it strengthened their bond in a way I wouldn't have thought possible.
Wow. That's a
Yeah.
powerful testament to the transformative
It is.
potential of these experiences. It seems like navigating this transition is less about finding,
Yeah.
a perfect solution
Right.
and more about just embracing
Yeah.
the journey together.
Exactly. There's no one-size-fits-all approach.
Right.
Each relationship will find
Right.
its own unique path.
Mhm.
But the key takeaway here is that this transition can be an opportunity for growth,
Okay.
both individually and as a couple.
I like that.
Yeah.
It's a chance to redefine what love and partnership mean
Yes.
in the face of new challenges.
Absolutely.
It's been a truly insightful conversation.
It has.
As we wrap up this deep dive,
Okay.
what are the key takeaways
Okay.
you want our listeners to ponder?
First, remember the emotional complexities of transitioning from romantic partner to caregiver.
Okay.
Acknowledge the weight of this shift, both for the caregiver and the recipient of care.
Right.
Second, recognize the impact of societal expectations
Yeah.
and be willing to challenge those norms to create a more equitable dynamic.
And finally,
Embrace the concept of the fluid dance.
oh, I love that.
Be open to rewriting the relationship story, renegotiating roles, and finding a new balance that honors the evolving needs
Yeah,
of both partners.
that's beautiful. It's a reminder that even amidst life's,
Yeah.
unexpected turns, there's potential for profound growth, resilience, and a deeper understanding of love and partnership.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Remember, you're not alone in navigating these challenges.
That's right.
Keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep the conversation going.